Email marketing for e-commerce stores is something that baffles a lot of people. Now, in the last 2 years, I've been working with over 150 brands and have generated over $15 million with email and SMS. And one of the most common pitfalls that I see is that people don't know what flows to set up, and then they don't know the real purpose behind those flows in order to make sure that they have this full ecosystem set up properly so that they can be generating 30% of their revenue from email alone. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking about 7 essential flows that you have to have in order to have the full system built out so that you can be generating a ton of revenue with email. 2 quick things before we jump into the presentation. Number 1, smash the thumbs up button if you enjoy this type of content. And number 2, inside of the description, I have a resource that walks you through step by step exactly how we build out our clients' campaigns in order to generate over $100,000 a month with email alone. If you want that, it's 100% free inside of the description. And let's jump into the presentation. So the very first flow that we're going to be looking at is the welcome series. I'm not going to walk you through how to set this up and everything like that. I have plenty of videos on that I'll link inside of the description. But today we're going to be talking about what the triggers are, what the filters are, and then the big thing is going to be the purpose. Now, what is the trigger for a welcome series? This is whenever somebody subscribes to your list. So almost every single e-commerce business is going to have what is called a pop-up. A pop-up is essentially just a little window that will show up that requests a name, a phone number, an email. For us, I would recommend just requesting an email. Whenever somebody puts in their email, that is when the welcome series will then start. Now, there is a filtering mechanism that basically makes it so that we pull anybody out that has these specific criteria so that we don't show them this entire email sequence. The filter for this flow is anybody that has placed an order 0 times over all time. We're going to filter that out. So that way it is only brand new people that have never made a purchase. Now, the purpose of the welcome series, this is one of those things that gets mixed up all the time, is number 1 is to indoctrinate them, is to really get them familiar with your brand. Number 2 is to build trust. This is to build trust with us, the company, and our products. An easy way to do this is to give testimonials. Testimonials, I believe, are one of those things that are incredibly underutilized. They are really fantastic for 2 major reasons. Number 1, it shows that there is demand. If people are buying it, then obviously they are missing out on something because people are actually interested. And then number 2, it also is a good indication of trust or quality. If people are willing to leave a review and say positive things about the brand, that's a pretty good indication that they have a safe bet with this product. An additional thing that you could do inside of the welcome series is to tell a story. It could be something as simple as how the brand got started or some sort of background on the owner that tells them why the brand and the business is unique to them. And then lastly, the big thing that I really want to hammer home inside of the welcome series is to discuss any differences inside of the company. There's always going to be competitors with pretty much every single brand. No brand is completely decommoditized. And so because of this, they're going to be kind of comparing apples to apples. So the more that you could draw separation between any other brand through your branding, through your backstory, through mechanisms within the product, the better off that you will be. And a lot of that could be done through the welcome series. Okay, number 2 is going to be site abandonment. This is going to be anybody that is active on site and then they exit. So if we were looking at the funnel from the top to the bottom, the very first step is going to be obviously somebody going to the website. Anybody who goes to the website and doesn't go to a product page will receive site abandonment. If they do go to a product page, then it is considered a browse abandonment. So that's kind of the difference between those 2. So the trigger here is that they were active on site. The filters are going to be a little bit more in depth, and that's because this is sandwiched between other flows. So we want to make sure that this flow is very contextual. These are the filters that we set up for site abandonment. Number 1 is going to be placed order 0 times since starting this flow. Number 2 is checked out 0 times since starting this flow. Number 3, viewed product 0 times since starting this flow, added a cart 0 times since starting this flow. So all of this, it's basically just filtering out anything before and after this specific step so that we can really hyper target this group of people. And then lastly, has not been in this flow for 30 to 45 days. This is just an extra precaution to make sure that we're not oversetting on the emails, that it's very specific to this step, and that if they go through and land on the site 2 or 3 times, maybe they're having issues with their internet, they're not going to get it over and over again. Now, the purpose of the site abandonment is very nuanced. There's 2 major things that we're looking to do here. Number 1 is to loop them back into the funnel. So if they exit for whatever reason, we want to get them back into the funnel at whatever step they were at. Number 2 is to remind them why they should care about the brand. So here, because they haven't looked at any specific products, we kind of have to remind them why the brand is unique and why they should trust this brand in specific. So That is going to be site abandonment. Now, if we move on over to browse abandonment, this is just one step over. So they go to the website and then they click a product. Now that is browse abandonment because they were browsing products. Makes sense. The trigger here is going to be that they viewed product. There's a couple of filters. These really overlap with what was said on site abandonment, so I'm not going to repeat them, but they're basically just the same thing. Again, this is another flow that's sandwiched in between other flows, so we have to really filter out anybody before or after this journey. And really what we're doing with any of this is we're building out custom journeys depending on the actions that somebody is taking on the website. Pretty interesting. Now, the purpose of the browse abandonment is going to be very similar in the sense that we are looking to loop them back into the funnel, but here is a key difference. We are trying to remind them why they should care about the product that they were looking at. So if you remember with the site abandonment, we were trying to remind them why they should care about the brand. And it's because they weren't looking at anything in specific. Now with the browse abandonment, they were browsing very specific products and we get that data. So we could then leverage that data to say, hey, this is why that item, that piece that you were looking at is unique and why you should care. And then the third thing here is that we are looking to incentivize. This is the first flow that I'm actually going to go through and start giving some offers. And the offers can range from a percentage discount, a dollar amount off, a free item, it could be free shipping or a bonus item. And then I always like adding on some sort of a time constraint that makes it so that they have a little bit of pressure on when they could buy it. 48 hours, 24 hours for them to go through and claim the code. That is going to be browse abandonment. Now we're going to move on over one additional step. So we had site abandonment. Now we have browse abandonment, which is when they look at a product and don't add to cart. Now we have the abandoned checkout. The add to cart flow is actually a separate flow that's kind of in between these two, but I tend to not focus too much on it. It does matter, but it's not going to be a key flow that is essential for driving a ton of results. Now we're going to be talking about abandoned checkout. This is probably the most famous email sequence that is out there. Almost everybody is going to be at least at minimum setting up an abandoned checkout. And if you don't have it, this is probably the first one that you should start with for good reason, because it generates just a ton of cash. So the trigger here is going to be starting a checkout. So they've been on the website, they went to a product page, they added a cart, and then they started the checkout. This is where you can see the payment information slots. That is going to be the checkout section. Now the filters here is going to be anybody who's placed an order 0 times since starting this flow, and they have not been in this flow in the last 5 days. So it starts when they've started checkout and left, and then those are the two filters. Now the purpose here, again, very similar, but we're going to be a little bit stronger on the offers. So we're going to loop them back in, we're going to incentivize, and then we're looking to close the deal. With the other flows, we're doing a little bit more of a soft close where we're kind of nudging them in the right direction and saying, hey, check out these testimonials. Have you noticed this with the product? It's a little bit different. By the time they get to an abandoned checkout, they're pretty much sold and they're kind of just standing at an edge of a cliff, and you just need to give them a little push. And so here, this is really where it's going to shift from being more of a soft sell to a hard close. So I like going through and really giving a heavy incentive here and really going for that close. So any of those percentage discounts or items off or anything like that, that's where you're going to implement it. But there's two major things that you could do here. You could give either a quantity constraint or a time constraint. This is really just scarcity and urgency. So scarcity is saying, hey, if you're in the next 25 people, we're going to give you a free bag, right? That's object of scarcity. And then urgency is going to be more of an object of time, which is, hey, if you want 30% off, this is a one-time offer. It's super unique to you. Go in and claim it for the next 24 hours. After this, it's going to expire. So that's where we're going to be at with the abandoned checkout. You're going to see way better results if you're a lot more pushy here than the previous flows that we were talking about with site abandonment and browse abandonment. Now we're going to move on over to cross-sell. So I think this is like the 5th or the 6th flow. The cross-sell is the first one that is post-purchase. So if we kind of look at it as a timeline, everything that we were talking about before was pre-purchase. Actually haven't given us any money yet. An abandoned checkout, they almost gave us money, but they didn't. Here, the cross-sell, this is after somebody made a purchase. So the trigger is going to be when somebody places an order. Now the filters here are going to be canceled order 0 times since starting this flow, has not been in this flow in the last 45 days. And if you want people to only see this email once, you would then add in a filter that they have never been in this flow at any time. That's something that you could kind of debate depending on the environment that you're trying to create for your store. Now the purpose here, again, we're trying to close the deal, but the second thing that we're trying to do that's going to be unique with the cross-sell that you don't really see anywhere else is you're trying to provide an argument, and I would say an argument is the right way to look at it because you're trying to really convince them and persuade them that the additional product that you are looking to sell them will make their experience better. So if somebody just went and bought peanut butter, you would make an argument why jelly is going to enhance and bring out some of those flavors in that peanut butter that's going to make their experience that that much better. Now that's kind of a far out example that might not be super relatable, but there are plenty of instances of this where it might make sense. So for example, if you're a consumer products company, you might try to sell them an additional item that is very similar to the one that they had just bought, and that would kind of pair together peanut butter and jelly. If you're looking for a little bit more of a complementary product, if you sold them shoes, you could sell them additional shoelaces, you could sell them a warranty, you could go through and also sell them an additional pair of socks that would be really comfortable with the pair of shoes. Here you have to get kind of creative on the reason why it's going to make the experience better, but that's really what you're doing. You're making an argument on why the additional product is going to make the original product that much better. And then lastly, we have customer thank you. This is the one that I see messed up probably more often than any other. Now, with a customer thank you, this is right after somebody made a purchase. Now, there have been plenty of studies that have shown that the majority of people's opinions are formed in the first day of making a purchase. So we really have to be mindful with how we are structuring the customer thank you. So the trigger here is going to be whenever somebody places an order. The filters are going to be placed order equals 1 overall time. They've canceled or order over 0 times since starting this flow. Now the purpose here, there's 2 major key components for this flow. Now the very first purpose is going to be removing buyer's remorse. A lot of people, whenever they're shopping online, will tend to have some level of buyer's remorse. They go through and make an impulse buy and they're like, oh, why did I do that? So what you're trying to do is you're trying to go through and say, hey, you made a great decision, which is reaffirming. You're saying, awesome choice. Here's a bunch of other people that have loved it. Here are the experiences that people have had with our brand and our product. So if you're selling a lifestyle product, like I just bought a pair of pit vipers, which are these cool little sunglasses. One of the things that you could do in this instance is you could say, here's some of our customers out enjoying their pit vipers and doing crazy stunts where they're on dirt bikes or, surfing or whatever. The more that you could paint a picture of what Hawaii or the destination that they're looking to get to, the clearer that you could paint that, the more confidence they're going to have in their decision. So we're just trying to transfer a level of confidence into their decision here. And that is going to be the 7 essential flows that you need in order to build out a robust email marketing system for your e-commerce business. Now, if you need help building out this system, or if you have questions, I would love to hop on a call with you for free. There's a link down below that you could book a complimentary call so that we could go over your email marketing for your brand and business. Keep in mind, we do have a minimum threshold of $20,000 a month for the e-commerce brands, just to make sure that you're in a good spot to go through and receive the advice and actually take advantage of it. But that's going to be it for this one though, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. Make sure you smash the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this type of content, and hit the red subscribe button to join the freaking family. And that's going to be it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Damn.